Hi everyone, I'm Jade. What we're talking about today is writing paragraphs, and I'm going to give you a structure you can use in the IELTS writing paper in the discursive essay section, and you can also use what I'm teaching you today in the CAE exam, but also more generally in discursive essays, because people who don't have much experience of writing essays or plus writing essays in English can often lose control of the essay because they're not really writing with a structure in mind. And when that happens, you just start talking about something else that's not even related to the question. So you don't actually get very good marks when you write an essay that's not about the question. Did you know that? Well, anyway, it happens sometimes. So this structure is very fixed and it's repetitive. So you would follow the structure in your first paragraph, and then you'd do 3 or 4 similar ones. It's fixed for a reason, to keep your essay under control, to keep you answering the question. So let's have a look at a typical IELTS kind of question. These days, many students decide to attend university in a foreign country. Discuss the advantages and disadvantages of attending university in a foreign country. So first, what we need to do is we need to make a little plan. And I know the advantages and disadvantages based on my personal experience, because I was lucky enough to study in a foreign country when I was a student. So yeah, I spent a year in Amsterdam. So what were the pros? Make friends from other countries. Make friends other countries. I'm just going to write a shortened version because it doesn't fit here. Make friends from other countries. Learn a language. What else? Challenge yourself. What else? Travel. Also, sometimes expense might be a factor. Now university is really, really expensive in the UK, so it may be an advantage to go and study in a different country where it's a bit cheaper, so potentially it could be cost. What are the disadvantages then? You might get homesick, you might miss your parents, or you might miss your dog or something, you get homesick. It might actually be more expensive for you if you go to, if you move to a country where university is really expensive. So it could be expensive. Maybe learning a language is a disadvantage for some people because your grades might not be as good. So we could put in the language barrier there. So this is a really quick plan that when you're writing a discursive essay like this really helps, especially if it's about advantages and disadvantages. You've got them all down here. So when you're writing the essay, you can just take any one of those. It's not important to have like highly original ideas. You don't have to think of something really amazing. It's just an IELTS essay or similar. So here's the basic plan, and here is the simple structure to follow. We're going to use a set phrase. Then we're going to elaborate on that. That means say a little bit more. Then we're going to do a sentence with however, where we show a complicating factor or something that maybe shows that what we're talking about we're not so clear about. And then as an optional sentence, you can share your experience, and this can be altogether 1 paragraph. You finish that, then you do the same thing, but you pick a different point, either an advantage or disadvantage. So let's have a look. The set phrases. You can just learn these set phrases to use in your essays. One of the reasons, well, obviously it won't be about studying abroad, you just change it to fit your question. One of the reasons to study abroad, ... The main advantage of studying abroad, ... A good reason to study in a foreign country is, so we just take one of the pros because these are all positive statements. One of the reasons to study abroad is so you can make friends with people from other countries. The main advantage of studying abroad is to challenge yourself. A good reason to study in a foreign country is to learn a foreign language. Okay, then you've got the first part of your introduction written. Then you go on to elaborate, say a little bit more about it. This bit's more general. So let's imagine we're writing this point about making friends. When one studies in a foreign country, it is possible to make friends from different countries, which can be interesting. Okay, let's talk about this a little bit because, again, it's not the world's most highly original sentence, but for the IELTS it's good. You're still talking generally and you're elaborating on your point. When you write like this, you keep your sentences quite short and controlled, and that means you don't lose control of them. Why am I saying one here? In just normal speech, I would say when you study in a foreign country, but essays are more formal, so that's why I've written one there for the general you. When one studies in a foreign country, it is possible to make friends from different countries. Okay, we still haven't said that much. But now we can do a relative clause using which. You can always use which after a comma. And, I'm not saying anything amazing here, which can be interesting. I'm just using a relative clause in a grammatically correct way. I mean, you could be more original. When one studies in a foreign country, it's possible to make friends from different countries, which can be highly fulfilling on a personal and deep, inspiring level. But you don't need to write that. Moving on. Now you can show we'd say the opposite side of the coin, the complicating factor. You can say, however. So what are the disadvantages here? So you can take one of see what you write a plan for? You can just take one of these. However, it may be difficult to make friends due to the language barrier. When you're writing this kind of essay, you can just say things. You don't have to believe that is true. It's okay to write something that's not necessarily your opinion. Some people find that really hard to do. It's like, I don't really think that. It's okay in this kind of essay. And then the optional part, maybe you want to make your paragraph slightly longer, or maybe you've already written 2 or 3 short paragraphs. So this one you can vary the length and make it a little bit different by sharing your experience. And that's a good thing to do in an IELTS exam anyway. So you can use one of these set phrases, in my opinion, in my experience, in my view. For me, it would be quite easy to say, in my experience, okay, related to what we've already talked about. In my experience, it is not difficult to make friends when attending university in a foreign country, because everybody is very open to meeting new people. And that brings it to a close. Put that all together and you've got a paragraph. Now what do you need to do? You need to do the same thing 3 times, 3 more times, and then you should have enough, and then you get to the conclusion. So if you follow this pattern, you'll be okay when you do your IELTS exam. or CAE or similar discursive essay. So what I'd like you to do now is go to do the quiz on the website, do the quiz, take this lesson a little bit further. Plus, I would like you to subscribe here on my IngVid channel. I would also like you to subscribe on my personal channel as well, where there's more stuff for you to improve your English and your communication. And yes, that's everything, isn't it? What am I going to do now? I don't know what I'm going to do now. I'm going to do some tug of war. Okay.